Hey, just here with Chambi. We're just hanging out today.
Hello, Adam and Emily.
Hello.
Thank you guys so much for joining us here virtually. We are very excited that you took your time for us, and congratulations for the great film once again. We really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, as I already said, we really enjoyed the film, the plot, the characters, but especially the music. Punk has a huge role in the film. What does punk mean to you?
You want to start or I can start? I think in the context of this movie, punk is just being true to yourself, just absolutely being true to yourself. And I feel like Patty gets the opportunity to be herself. And it's very powerful in that moment.
I love that, Adam.
I love you.
I think for me, I love you too. I think for me, punk has really evolved since making this movie. I think it basically just means, for me personally, stepping outside of a system and choosing not to be a part of something that doesn't align with me. That's punk.
Great. So the dynamic and the relationship between the main characters is really unique and adorable. So Adam, how did you develop the characters of Patty and Simon?
So these characters came over a very long period of time of development. So for me personally, as the writer, it happened over many years. I can go really quick. I can make it quick, but even when I was in college, which is 20 some years ago, I saw flyers for doing clinical trials, basically selling your body for science, and it was something that I wanted to do to make quick money, but I never did. So that was just a little seed that stayed with me for many, many years. Later on, I had an idea for the character of Simon during a snowstorm. I was out for a walk, and the rhythm of my steps made me think of the character, and I went and I sketched him out like the first 10 minutes of the movie. I did all of that in 2006, and it just sat for many, many years. In 2009, I was sketching a thing called Dinner in America, about which is basically Patty and her family when I had writer's block. And it was just something that I was doing as an exercise, just to keep my mind busy, and just designing something that was, again, it was just a seed. It was just characters that didn't have a home. They were like homeless characters. It was just little ideas that I had. In 2013, I thought, what if I combined that character from the Simon character that I had this initial like 10 minutes of a movie, and then I had done some other work on it, but I thought, what if I combined this idea of this character and brought it into this other script? And that's when it started to become something. So my point with that is sometimes when you have like an idea for something and you don't have a home for it, you should just like hold on to it for a long time. This was a film that organically happened over many, many years of having just an idea about characters and not really knowing what to do with them. And eventually they came together, and this story happened because of several random things that spanned 20 years.
Okay, so Emily, how did you prepare for the character? It was really unique, and could you relate to her in some ways, or is she completely opposite from you?
No, Patty is based on me and a time in my life when I felt very much like Patty. I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know what I wanted to be, and I had a lot of people telling me who I should be, and I had really cool parents and cool teachers who helped me figure out who I am today. But I definitely went through sometimes like Patty. And for me, it was really, at first I was kind of scared to go back to that time in my life and kind of relive that. But in making the movie, I was really able to sort of fall in love with those parts of myself that I'd rejected and thought they didn't have value, or they were too weird, or not mainstream enough. I don't know. Now I love myself and I love all the weird parts about me, and I love all the weird parts about other people as well. It's really expanded the way I think about other people and like to treat other people too. It's really kind of opened my eyes that you don't really know someone until you know someone, and it's really important to treat people with kindness.
So maybe which actor besides yourself who you admire would you also like to see playing your character?
Ooh, nice.
Wow.
Wow. That's cool. That's a good question. Who came up with
How
that
would
one?
the character change?
Wow.
I think it would be really cool to see Patty at age like 50 or 60, played by Frances McDormand. I think she'd do a really great job.
Older Patty.
Older
Patty
Patty.
down the road. Yeah.
So now we'll turn to the audience if they have any questions. Draga publika, ali ima kdo kakšno vprašanje na tej točki? Tudi prek Zooma lahko vpišete v Q&A okence.
What's the bear's name in reality?
Moment.
What's the bear's name in reality?
Oh, Chambi, the bear? This guy?
What's his name in reality?
Yeah,
That's Chambi.
this is Chambi. Yeah, this is Chambi.
This is real life.
This is real. Yeah, he is very real. He's very real. So my kids really like him. He's a good friend to like lay around with on a Sunday afternoon.
He's really cuddly,
Mm-hmm.
very affectionate.
He loves it.
Še kdo morda?
I just want to say thank you for the movie. It was really amazing. And I'll keep your ideas in mind about keeping certain thoughts about characters. They could really come in handy sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
you played
Yeah, thank you.
a good role of Patty. You did a good job. Such a good job.
Thank you.
Acting is amazing, and I want to see you in so many movies.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Yeah, that's really sweet. Yeah, to echo that too. I like to keep random characters just in folders and like a garden, and just keep watering them and watering them and watering them, because they will grow over time if you take care of them and water them. So this is a film that I never saw coming. Like I didn't see it. So it organically happened for me, like just by having these, characters and having a lot of time to really, for them to find a way to come together. So really, truly, when you wake up at 3 a.m. and you have a really great idea, go write the damn thing down. Just get up and go write it down and then go back to bed. So.
Thank you.
So, Emily, how was it working with Adam and your fellow actor Kyle? Is there maybe a memorable moment or a funny story that you could share?
Oh gosh. Adam and Kyle are now my best friends. They're my buddies. I want to make everything with them. It was really incredible working with them, and a really liberating experience in a lot of ways. I'd never had such a collaborative experience making a movie. We got to Detroit 2 weeks before we started shooting and had 2 weeks to get to know each other and read through the script together and figure out the characters and all get on the same page. And in those 2 weeks, we really found and built a really beautiful language that we could all share, and a great amount of respect was formed in those 2 weeks that I think made it so much easier to then do the movie and make the thing at the end of the day. And what was cool too is Adam picked us up at the airport, which never happens. The director never picks you up at the airport. And he drove Kyle and I to a diner, and we ate patty melts and hamburgers, and we hung out just like they do in the movie. And that made it so much more special.
Yeah, it was a really fun process, like working with Emily and Kyle, because both of them are so professional and come ready to play instead of like, having to figure things out. So it was more like, when Emily said liberating is a good way to put it, because when you are prepared, like with your character, you know who the character is, or you're still defining it. Then you get, there's not much time on a movie. You have to move very fast with things. So it's cool when everybody's prepared, because it lets you get some alternate like versions of things, and it gives you some options for when you're cutting the film. I also edited the film, so you don't have time when you're on set to like really appreciate a lot of the gifts that your actors give you. You don't sometimes notice them, how big they are, until later on, because you just don't have time. You have to it's like Emily can sing the really great, song in the basement, and Kyle can like react, and we're all looking at Kyle and we're like, oh my God, that's amazing. But we still have to go outside and we have to do a whole bunch of other stuff tonight. So it's got to move along. When you get to reflect on it a bit more, and there's more space and time away from the initial thing, then you get to see all of these really cool gifts that the actors give you. And it stems back to when actors are prepared and they know what they're going to do, or they trust their ropes, they trust themselves. It makes it that much easier on the end to just have like, more shades of things, more texture that you can play with in post. So we also did the music before the movie. So we actually recorded the music in the first week. So we really knew where we were going to land emotionally. The music was not pre-written by someone prior to the event. Like the punk stuff was kind of worked out, but that's Kyle's voice. He went into a studio with the band and recorded, and Emily and I recorded the other song. And so we knew where emotionally we were going to end up. So I feel like that was a more valuable tool than to us maybe do the song later in the process and like try to cram it in on a weekend when everybody's really just needs to sleep and rest. So we made really good use of our time up front, getting to know each other, not necessarily working through blocking and different types of things. We didn't do any of that. We didn't do any script reading. We just hung out and were around each other and got to, experience each other. And I think that by recording the music first, for me, that was the way to unify everybody and make it really just simple and like, this is what we're doing. And we don't have another choice. We've like boxed ourselves into a corner with it. Let's run with it. So that was my thought on how to, because for a long time, the producers wanted to know what the song was going to be. And I kept saying, until we cast Patty, we can't really, I'm not going to record some prefabricated song and then just force that actor to do it. It had to be something that came out of Kyle, what ultimately became Kyle and Emily. It had to come out of their like energy, and it had to be something that we could conceivably see Kyle play, because he's not a musician. Emily has more experience on that front. And so we had to find something that really fit the movie and what we were doing. So yeah, having the time up front that she was talking about was just like, that's where we kind of did all of our work, really, because the rest of the time we were just it was go, go, go. There was like 60 or 70 locations in this movie. It never was stable. We were just bouncing around from location to location constantly. And I think there's 70 speaking roles in the film too. So just really a lot going on every day.
And one of the first things we did together, Adam, was write that song.
Yeah.
And what an amazing thing to do with someone to kick off a process.
Well,
really special.
I felt like that was I had ahead of time when they were giving me time slots for how to manage the time, because I was working with the cinematographer and the production designer to design everything else. And so actually I was gone for a lot of it. Emily and Kyle were just hanging out too. So they got to already have and build a rapport, without the director sniffing around and messing it all up. And their rapport that they built was fantastic. And I think that was just, for them, was a lot of hanging out. And I know that they cooked a lot of dinners and hung out together prior to the actual filming. So.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so speaking of dinners, what is your favorite dinner?
Me?
Yeah, both of you.
What's my favorite dinner?
Yeah.
Oh, sushi, 100%. Yeah. Nigiri sushi, 100%. Yeah. I could sit in a sushi bar all night. I'm that guy,
That's a great question. I grow a lot of my own food. So I guess my favorite dinner is anything that I'm able to cook from the garden, from what I got.
I'm still sticking with nigiri sushi.
I mean, sushi is great too. I love sushi, but I can't grow sushi.
I know you can't. You could go fish it. Go
True.
fishing.
True. In the LA River.
Oh, yeah.
So I think you guys are a complete genius when it comes to comedy, as you already showed us. And I'm really interested, how do you actually make a good comedy? Do you think, is there a formula to making a good comedy, or no? How
No, I'm listening to you. I'm liking this question. I'm liking this. I'm on. For me, it's not writing jokes. I think more than anything, don't write things to be a joke, like with a punchline. I think the humor is reactions, and I think a lot of it is rhythm and timing. I love that. And this film in particular, it's designed almost like a mixtape. It's like da 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 ba 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 ba. It has a rhythm to it, and it's more about teeing up the jokes in a musical or rhythmical sense. To me, that's a lot funnier than like just trying to write something to be funny,
Definitely. I also think that humor, the reason we laugh is because we recognize something in that character, in that joke, that resonates with us personally. And it's making that connection of, oh, I've experienced that, or, oh, I understand what that is, that makes it funny to people. And so it has to be personal, and it has to be real, and it can't just be a joke. It has to be real,
There's humor in detail too.
Yes.
Like just shit like where she's asking about cumin and stuff like that. That's not a ha-ha thing, but to me it's super funny. The way that Mary Lynn is just like, honey, let's not start that, eat your taco salad. It's more of a rhythmical kind of thing. And there's these actors like, Pat Healy and Mary Lynn in particular, they're just so naturally funny. I don't know. It was really great to work with them as the parents, because even though we only had 3 scenes with them, it's just they steal the scene work when they're in there for sure, 100%.
It really created the Shulk House energy.
There's only 2 scenes with them, and that sets the whole tone for Patty's whole life. It's like, to me, that's pretty damn cool. And Mary Lynn and Pat were, and Griffin also just on his little brother. But, you know, Mary Lynn and Pat are very seasoned, and it's just like they come prepared and ready to rock, and they're going to throw some non sequiturs and stuff that you have a lot of options in post. So they're total pros. So.
Maybe just like a random question. Why does Patty's brother have a bunk bed?
No. How about this? Why does Kev sleep on the bottom bunk? You know? Or wait, maybe I don't actually show that. No, I cut that scene. So
right.
After they smoke the joint, they come back in, and Kevin sleeps on the bottom bunk, and Simon sleeps on the top. And I just thought that was the saddest thing. This kid that has a bunk bed, but he chooses to sleep on the bottom position because nobody wants to sleep on the bottom bunk ever.
Are bunk beds not common?
I mean, they are, but we found it funny because he has his own room and he has a bunk.
Right.
Yeah.
I asked that because I do think it has something to do with America, like excess a little bit. Like, you have to have an extra bed just in case someone randomly comes over to sleep. They need a place to sleep.
It was for Kevin's imaginary friend. Kevin's imaginary friend needs a place to sleep at night.
Yeah, they're hoping he makes a friend one day.
Yeah, that he can have a sleepover with, but he's such a rager that he can't. So I had always thought that. I kind of miss not having the bottom bunk scene now because it's like so funny because they come back in through the window and Kevin lays down and he goes into the bottom bunk and I'm like, this is the saddest thing. This kid lives in this bottom bunk with these guinea pigs here, you know?
So do we have any new questions from the audience, maybe?
Hello. First, thanks for a really great cinema experience. We were talking a lot about dinners, and I think one of the most brilliant things in your film are these dinner or lunch scenes. So they are like really masterpieces on its own. So I was really wondering, when did you decide to put those in? I mean, was that like already at the beginning or?
Yeah, so I had actually never written with a theme before, and that kind of came out organically as I started to design. Well, so the original folder that I kept everything in with Patty's family was called Dinner in America because the first scene I ever wrote for it was the dinner that Patty was sitting around with her family. And I had written the thing before, like 6 or so whatever years before, I had written the thing where Simon had gone home with the girl and they had the turkey and out the window, that whole scene, the crazy scene. That was the first thing I ever wrote for what became this movie. And it was also a dinner. And then I had written the thing. So in the folder was called Dinner in America. And so I think I was like, you know, I should like sort of tent pole this movie and have like 4 dinners, you know? So it was like one, you know, every so often there was a dinner and then pepper in like diners and they go to the burger place and like a hot dog at the convenience store. Just all of these food things are kind of like Easter eggs. If they're not like the focus of a scene, there's something with somebody eating or it's kind of peppered in throughout the movie. I was like very aware of that when I was writing it and how Americans eat, what it looks like in the Midwest. And it's just about getting it in as fast as you can and getting on with stuff. You know, there's no Italian dinners here where it's like 3 hours long, it's just about getting it in the mouth, and so cheaply and quick, and it's like there's no passion about it at all, or like a lot of it is. So it was wanting to do something at that point thematically, I think, even to the point where Simon, like Dinner in America is the title of a song that Simon has written, and so that had to have been an organic thing along the way, because the folder that I started with Patty's family was called Dinner in America, and it ends up being the song that Simon writes. So I was aware of that, and I wanted to kind of make these 4 big dinners front to back. And the joke of that theme was that he goes the whole movie with these shitty dinners, and the best one that he gets is when he's actually in prison. So I thought that was just a fun little, but at the end to have, like, he opens up this gold wrapped plate and it's got a steak and salad and maybe the nicest thing we've seen him eat the whole movie.
So do we have any questions from the Zoom people?
Yeah, let's Zoom it.
Yeah, yes.
People.
So there's a question for you, Adam. In which bands did you play?
Well, I had just several small bands, like nothing big and nothing like national touring. So when I was in the Midwest, several, just, I guess you would say, about the size of shows that were about the size of Simon's shows. So nothing big and then anything like that. But other than that, I have been a big I did that like in my late teens and early 20s. I was in several small bands. But ever since I was a teenager, for like the last 20 some years, I've been a big home recorder. I had a 4-track recorder and then a 24-track recorder. So my thing's always just been, at one point before I was married and before kids, I had like a rock room, and I would just go to my rock room every night and rock out and record stuff. So I've just been an avid home recorder for most of my life.
I just have a room full of rocks.
So because the film is a typical romantic comedy, but actually maybe turned upside down, could you maybe say which films, because there were a lot of similar films made, inspired you for this movie?
I mean, I've heard the comparisons to Heathers and to Napoleon Dynamite, but like I said, outside of people say Repo Man and stuff like that, I just wasn't very conscious of it when I was working on it. And like I said, there was so many years of having this character and this seed. And actually, the thing that I originally had with Simon was a much different story than this. So I had been kind of working on something that had maybe 30 or 40 pages that went in a totally different direction with this whole story. So I think, and actually, when I started with Dinner in America, what I was calling it, the first scene work that I did with Patty and her family, Patty was more of like a high school age. She was more like 16, 17. In the movie, when we shot it, we had her set at 20. So it was more of a high school type of thing when I first started it. And actually, Patty was darker than she is in the movie. She was more kind of Simon-like than she is now. But as I started to manipulate like the scenarios and to blend them together, they couldn't be the same. Like Patty was actually really dark in the Dinner in America thing that I had started, but she became more of the softer character to Simon's like abrasiveness in what we ended up with. So because it took so many twists and turns along the way as I came up with it, I just wasn't ever like thinking about references too much. But of course, growing up in the 80s, you know, I was watching a lot of the John Hughes movies mixed with a lot of horror stuff at the same time. So my tastes are more like hardcore genre stuff. Like that's what I really like. I like slashers and more grindhouse type of stuff. That's what I prefer to watch. Not necessarily what I want to make all the time, but what I prefer to actually watch.
You know what I forgot we talked about, Adam, in the beginning of the process was Welcome to the Dollhouse.
That's a good one too. Yeah, Welcome to the Dollhouse. There's definitely a vibe with Wiener Dog and Patty. There's kind of a similar vibe between the two of them. I can definitely see that.
The Special People Club.
Yeah, I love that movie. That's a really, really great film. I love the brothers band. It's just absolutely terrible. Like, I love all of that. The interaction between the brother. I think I think Welcome to the Dollhouse and like oddly Napoleon Dynamite feel like kind of in that space somewhat.
So how did you choose the aesthetics of the film? The colors are really expressive and vivid, and sometimes it feels, even if we were in a cartoon or a comic strip, even if you think about the way the story develops, especially the montage, there is sometimes this feeling as we would be jumping from one panel to another.
So when we started very early on in like the design part of the film, I had like 3 tiers that I wanted to do, that I could do the film at. And we ended up shooting the film in kind of my middle plan for it. If we would have had more money, it could have done design thing a little bit different. And if we had less, it would have been a little bit different. With regard to the color, the production designer, Francesca, and Jean-Philippe Bernier, our DP, and I were sort of talking about it, and JP had brought up the American flag and how, and like Coca-Cola red and that type of thing, and kind of having like a red, white, and blue theme to everything. Dinner in America, the American flag. So that a lot of the look and design of it came out of that, like with regard to color, came out of that conversation. And we designed the whole movie around the American flag, pretty much, having those, just really warm primaries and stuff like that, and have them really pop. And of course, we shot anamorphic, so it was very easy to, get the separation that we needed. Like, for instance, Patty in the wide when we first see her, and then the next shot we're just super tight on her, and it's that shirt just like it just pops in this with the sky, the blue sky behind her. It's one of my favorite. Like, I just love opening that way with Patty, just this kind of lonely girl at a lonely bus stop with a bright blue sky and an American flag for a shirt.
Which is illegal, by the way. It's illegal to put the flag on clothes or napkins, anything that gets thrown away or cut or destroyed, but we do it anyway.
Well, I'm going to have to throw away my Speedo, my American flag Speedo this summer. I'm not going out with it. Damn it.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Okay. We found that the film has some strong social criticism in it. For example, the relation to drugs and the pharmaceutical industry, but it also points out to the hypocritical white American suburban way of life. So would you say that those are the things that bother you the most about the American society, or is there something that you would also like to point out?
It goes much deeper than that. It goes much deeper. No, but just everything. Yeah, just everything. All the above. All the above. No, but go ahead.
I think some people are shocked when they see this. They're like, this isn't the way it is, but it's so much worse in a lot of ways. And so I think this movie just scratches the surface.
Yeah, I would say just scratches the surface. And, I feel like I was conscious when I was writing it of that. And like, it was hard. It was a harder film to get made, because of it, because it doesn't play nice all the time. And So but there's a truth in that I think it has value, and that it needs further examination. And so, like Emily said, it just scratches the surface, but it's definitely ugly, and there's definitely an ugliness, behind the facade of suburban America. There's absolutely an ugliness there, and can't be. There's obviously, like anywhere, there's good people and good things, but it's definitely there. And if anything, the last like 4.5 years taught us is that shooting this in Trump's America, it didn't seem as cartoonish as when I had first written it. I will say that it was seemed very like, it just like, I don't know, just didn't seem like a cartoon anymore.
And is it really challenging to make, you said, an ugly film, the film that really criticizes the society? What do you think was the biggest challenge you faced during the shooting?
Can you ask me that again? I lost you there.
So you said you made an ugly film, and I think sometimes the films get people don't really like them, or maybe the directors have problems with producing. They don't get money, or they don't get to the film maybe festivals even, and there's a lot of challenging challenges that you face when you make maybe a bit more avant-garde type of film.
Yeah, I think that what was different about this particular film is the humanness that Emily and Kyle brought to it. That was the different part of it. Because if you're just like cramming something down someone's throat to be right or whatever, and it's out of balance, I feel like the humanness of Kyle and Emily frame the whole thing in a way that's palatable, like strangely, because I pushed as hard as I could for you not to like Simon, with the goal being that it, like an onion, peeling the layers back, peeling them back, and that there is something redeemable in him in the end. So, there was an awareness from a design standpoint, like as you're trying to figure out the puzzle pieces, how far you can push, and why you want to push, what do you want to say by pushing, and can you have there be some type of redemption in it. And I feel like we succeeded, especially with this particular cast. I feel like we succeeded. And then to the second part of your question about festivals and stuff, once we started, and it was obviously a very strange year for film festivals, but once this film got going, it did not stop. We have played shows for the last 16 months. So that's been crazy. That's been crazy to have a festival life where I think we've done over 60 festivals. I mean, it's crazy. It's just like, and it's one of those films that for a lot of people, it's kind of a cure for the pandemic blues, if you will. It's something that we get a lot of notes and letters from people about this film and how good they feel after watching it. And I'm so proud of everyone that worked on it and all of our actors that we could, help in that way. Like, just so, like this film really was a response to larger themes that are going on in America, but it was created in a time that, in Trump's America, that this is a response to that in a very big way.
So last chance, is there any new questions from the audience?
Yeah, I have a question for Adam. How was the casting process for Emily? For Patty and Simon? Because obviously they are such unique characters, and they also need to bring like a certain likability to the character. So I was wondering if it was a challenge to you.
Yeah, I was interested in Kyle like very early on in the process. he had a photograph that is actually his Facebook profile picture. If you go onto Facebook and look at it, it's his profile picture. It was a tintype that was taken at Sundance 2015, I think he told me. And there's something about, I will make the case for a photographer capturing somebody, their essence, just that moment in time. I could totally cast somebody just off of a photo. Like if the photographer really gets the essence of them. And there was a vulnerability in Kyle, but also kind of a James Dean kind of vibe to him that was immediately very attractive to me. And so we had reached out to him. A friend had produced a movie that he had auditioned for but didn't get the part, and they had sent him the Dinner in America script in like 2015. He never read it, and we cast the film with somebody else, and the film fell apart. And then our DP was shooting with Kyle in Romania. They were doing a film in Romania, and the DP was like, I'm shooting this thing back in the States. It just fell apart and they don't have a lead. You should talk to the director. And he was like, what's the name of the film? And he's like, Dinner in America. And he's like, oh, I think I have that. And he went in his email from like 3 years before, and the script was sitting there. And so he read it. And so I still like to give him, some shit about that. Because as soon as he read it, he was like, oh, I want to do this. This is perfect. I love this character. It's like, okay, like read the damn script. Emily, I had cast the film like 2 or 3 times with patties. I had like several rounds of patties, and I had not seen this gorgeous creature yet. And she back-channeled somehow through her representatives, had back-channeled to one of our producers, and I got a tape of her. And I just, once I saw the tape, I had to meet her. I just had to meet her. And once I met her, you just feel it. I just felt like this is Patty. It was just intuitively, like just 100%. The second I talked to her, it just felt like, like she had lived in that skin already. So I was sold. I was convinced right there.
Do I give off that vibe, Adam? A Patty vibe?
Yeah, you kind of did. You kind of did. A little bit of a Patty vibe going on when I met her.
Good to know.
So,
but you were, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much once again for taking your time and joining us here today. I think we really all enjoyed the interview a lot, and we are hoping to see.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Lahko še eno vprašanje, mogoče tukaj zadaj.
Malo nam zmanjkuje časa.
Yeah, it seems like we have another question from the audience, so.
Let's take it.
I'm an American living here, and so when I saw the title, it's like, I got to go to this movie. And I went and I checked Rotten Tomatoes, and I think it said 100%, if I'm right.
I think it's 94% right now. We're certified fresh with 62 reviews. So
I feel honored, and it was a special and super movie, and congratulations, guys.
Thank you. Where are you from in America? What state?
Portland, Oregon. Portlandia.
Ah.
Right.
Oh, and I'm watching all the Portlandia. It goes off Netflix tomorrow, so I'm sitting down and just checking them out. So
no shortage of great real food in Portland.
Yeah, no.
True.
But I came to a great place too. I've been here 7 years now. So
wow.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
Adopt us? You want to adopt us?
Can we come?
Well, if you come to Ljubljana, you're welcome to come.
I would like that very much.
Thank
I actually
you.
looked at it before, so yeah.
All right. Have a good one.
Yeah.
You too.
So, yes, thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you.
Yeah. No problem.
Drago občinstvo v dvorani in za domačimi zasloni, najlepša hvala za pozornost in vprašanja. Preden končamo, naj vas prav lepo povabimo, da še do nedelje 13. junija obiščete festival Kurja Polt in se vsem ljubiteljem žanra in filma pridružite v živo ali na spletu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your festival and have a great night. Thank you.
We love
Thank you
you.
so much. We
Yes.
love you.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.